Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
Good morning, and welcome to the Voice of Charity. I'm Katie Bredemann, and we extend a warm hello to all who are listening on WNDZ 750 AM here in Chicago, and all who are watching our live stream on YouTube and Facebook at Catholic Chicago. Catholic Charities Legal Assistance Department is a vital part of our wraparound services that we offer to our clients. In many cases, legal barriers are one of the main concerns that prevent people from achieving their goals of self-sufficiency. HILDA BAHENA is director of our Legal Assistance Department, and we're always glad to have her come on the show and provide an update on how our legal services continue to evolve. Joining HILDA today is EDWARD SOMMER, a generous volunteer attorney with CCLA, who regularly shares his time and expertise with Catholic Charities clients to help them with their legal concerns. Welcome, HILDA and Ed.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for the invitation.
HILDA, may I ask you to please start us out and share with our audience a little bit about the history of Catholic Charities Legal Assistance Department?
Good morning. Yes, thank you, Kate. And please let me know if I need to speak louder, since I know I'm using a different avenue to reach you and our audience. So just to share with you, it's a wonderful beginning to the story of our department. We started in 2002 when individuals were saying to Monsignor Boland at the time, our clients are receiving lots of assistance, but the one assistance that they can't seem to obtain is legal services. And part of that is because there are so many more people in need than available legal services for low-income individuals. So in 2002, Monsignor Bolden pulled in two board members who were stay-at-home moms but were attorneys and cared about giving, and that was Mary Fitzpatrick and Jean Casey. They started off as a volunteer initiative, and then they pulled in other volunteers who were providing referrals to other legal aids. And from there, CCLA opened a store for its first time with its first employee in 2005. And here we are today, many years later.
And so oftentimes clients might try to be advocating for themselves in the legal system and finding out that it's quite complex. Am I right? And so they turn to Catholic Charities to say, I've tried, but I'm really, really thrown by how complex the legal system is.
Yeah, the privilege that we have as attorneys is that we are in the courtroom every single day, and we understand the dynamics, the culture of the process. When you're completely new to the system, it is very daunting in understanding even how to ask a basic question, in being able to proceed and move forward with their legal issues. And so what we are able to provide, either through representation and speaking on behalf of our clients, or through advising pro se litigants who represent themselves, is that we are able to share our skills and offer our experience so that they are able to move forward with their matter in court, and it's less daunting, even if it still continues to be a bit scary.
And so how many clients do you serve, HILDA, every year? I know obviously the pandemic probably has changed what your average amount is, but on average, how many clients do CCLA assist each year?
So we assist over 3,000 clients every year, and there's different levels of assistance that we're able to provide. We are very grateful for a very dedicated staff and dedicated volunteers, that without that team of everyone who contributes, we would be unable to help those over 3,000 individuals who are seeking legal assistance and guidance in knowing how to move their legal issue forward in accessing the court system.
I know you have many partners across Chicago in the legal community throughout our city as well. Our live stream is right now showing some photos from your fundraiser back a couple years ago for Legal Lifelines, and I know that event has been halted, but it's wonderful to see, how far your reach extends throughout Chicago, how well you are regarded, and supported by the legal community in our city.
Yes, we're very lucky. We're very fortunate, and that part of it is because lawyers know that other people need help. If you cannot afford an attorney, then sometimes people feel like they're out of luck, and attorneys understand that even when they're working in the private practice. That's why I say that this team of staff and volunteers, we're so fortunate because it's together that we're able to help individuals, and we're very grateful for all the support that we receive, which is through skill and talent and time, but also through their financial support in order to sustain the department and be able to continue to provide all those individuals in need services, both in Cook and Lake County, and we receive calls throughout the state, actually.
And can you share with us what are some of the average, legal concerns that you assist clients with?
So we track what are people calling about, what are their biggest legal issues, and what we found is the number one topic. By far, it's over 50%, and as a matter of fact, it was 56% in the last fiscal year, was family law issues. And, everybody has family issues, but and that includes people who cannot afford an attorney. So that's our number one legal issue. Our second legal issue is related to housing and whether they're tenants or homeowners who are in need and understanding and figuring out how to resolve those legal issues. Oftentimes it has to do with eviction, condition issues, ability to leave, or whether or not they're getting the security deposit back. And that has always been our second most popular legal topic. And the third one is really, it varies with a lot of different issues. It's consumer issues and individual rights, which has to do with whether a car repossession, credit card debt, or someone owes you money, and how do you get that money back? So we have a lot of expertise on staff, and we are able to share on all the different topics that we receive. But we could receive calls on everything under the sun.
And that's a wonderful introduction to our other guest, Ed Sommer. Ed, first of all, I'd just like to say thank you so much for sharing your time and your expertise with Catholic Charities. We're so grateful for your efforts to supplement, the expertise that Hilda and her team already have in their department.
Thanks, Katie. I'm very happy to have the opportunity to do it.
And
I practice law. Before you ask a question, I'll just say I practice law with a large firm, sort of a transactional practice. Didn't deal with really any of the issues that we deal with at Catholic Charities, and it's invigorating to be able to use my skills to learn new things and to basically help the people that really can't afford to pay a lawyer.
And so how long have you been involved with CCLA?
Really since the latter part of 2019. Yeah, I retired a little bit earlier than that. And a good friend of mine volunteered for CCLA and still does, and he got me, over lunch he would just tell me about the work he did, and it got me very interested.
And we're so amazed at how much you continue to accomplish at CCLA, Hilda and Ed, because of the pandemic. Legal concerns, legal consultations, are very private, but they're also, comprehensive events where you need to be looking at legal documents and reading things together and making sure they understand the fine points of that. How has the pandemic affected your work? And maybe I'll just start with you, with Ed. How do you assist clients when you've probably had to do everything long distance or over the phone or Zoom?
Yeah, that's a good question, Katie. The consultations are by telephone anyway, so that part of it really didn't change very much. The big difference is that shortly after I started working, COVID hit, and I stopped working in the CCLA offices and started working from home. And that I think the only sort of problem there, I'm looking forward to getting back in the office when circumstances permit, but I think the problem there is that staff is not quite as available. You don't get to meet a lot of people. I mean, I really didn't meet that many people before Hilda sent us all home. So I would say the COVID hasn't really impacted the work that at least I have been doing with CCLA. I don't know, Hilda, you might have a different thought on that, because I know there are some workshops and so forth that are not being able to be held.
Hilda, can you share a little bit from your own perspective about how the pandemic has affected all the work of your department?
Yeah, so just like everyone else, we were impacted, and our services were impacted. Actually, not our services were impacted, the people were impacted. Because we serve low-income individuals or individuals living in poverty, what we noticed, and this was a trend across all legal aids, is that the numbers initially went down of people reaching out to us for assistance. And the reason for that was that there was a primary basic need that folks were facing. They needed food. They needed shelter. And there was so much job loss and illness that they could not afford clothing or other basic items for their families. So what we did during that time is ensure that we connected individuals to our other sister programs that were able to assist them. Because we knew that at that point in time, the family law issue was not primary in their lives. It was making sure that they had food on the table for themselves and their children. And so from there, we started seeing the numbers trickle up. And right now, we are almost back to the same numbers that we were before. CCLA, and I'm going to say it was booming and was hot, and it was at a high in increase in services and ability to provide, in number of clients calling us right prior to the pandemic. And so we use that time to be able to maneuver and change all our services so that we are able to provide services remotely without putting anybody's health or safety at risk. And that works really well, because as individuals are working with us through Zoom, they're learning how they're going to interact with the court through Zoom. So any mistakes, anything happens, I can't hear you, where's that button, happens with us. And when they're before the court, they know everything what to do. Please click here, move here, silence yourself. This is when you could speak to the judge. We're preparing them for that during our consultations, during our services.
Well, it really is remarkable how much you've continued to be able to accomplish, Hilda and Ed. We're going to take a quick break here on The Voice of Charity, and when we return, we're going to continue our conversation about Catholic Charities Legal Assistance Department, otherwise known as CCLA. Please stay tuned.
Catholic Charities Veterans Employment Services help veterans find and maintain employment through job readiness training, resume writing assistance, mock interviews, and job placement counseling. We work with a wide array of employers and community partners to help veterans reach their career goals. We owe a debt of gratitude to all of our veterans for the sacrifices they made to serve our nation. It is our privilege now to assist them. To learn more about Catholic Charities Veterans Employment Program in Cook County, call 773-808-2954. In Lake County, call 847-782-4219. You can also learn more at CatholicCharities.net. To all United States veterans, thank you for your service.
I feel special. I feel great. I got good grades.
We've seen a huge surge in our kids now meeting or exceeding grade level. Come check us out. You may have never thought we were an option before.
At Catholic Charities, we fight hunger in Chicago throughout the year. Our 6 regional offices in Cook and Lake counties work together to offer sit-down and to-go meals to anyone in need. We deliver meals to those who are homebound, and our 8 food pantries offer 3 to 4 days of food supplies based on household size. Participants in these programs have the opportunity to learn about other Catholic Charities services that strengthen individuals, families, and their communities. The challenges for those dealing with food insecurity are especially great during the winter months. To learn how you can help those who are hungry in your neighborhood, visit CatholicCharities.net or call 312-655-7525. That's 312-655-7525. Thank you for your generosity.
Welcome back to the Voice of Charity. I'm Katie Bredemann, and I'm delighted today to be here with HILDA BAHENA, Catholic Charities Director of our Legal Assistance Department, and also EDWARD SOMMER, who is a volunteer attorney with our Legal Assistance Department, otherwise known as CCLA. And before the break, we were talking about the many issues that clients come to Catholic Charities with, and that they're not able to afford attorney or having a challenging time navigating the complex legal system. Before we go any further, Hilda, may I ask you to please share the contact information of anybody listening or watching the show who might benefit from the services Catholic Charities offers?
Absolutely. Individuals who are seeking legal assistance may call 312-948-6821. And that is our advice line, 312-948-6821.
And from a volunteer standpoint, Ed, may I ask, what's the average amount of time that you spend with a client?
The consultations are set up for 1 hour in 1 hour segments. And usually, and then of course, as far as my time is concerned, prep time beforehand, particularly, that might take a little while if it's an area that I'm not particularly familiar with. But the consultations usually run within that 1 hour period, and typically they're half an hour, I would say, to that full hour. Often we have a translator involved in the consultation, and those tend to take a little bit longer, particularly if it's a fairly complicated matter.
And what would you say are the most challenging aspects of trying to help clients with their legal concerns?
I got to say, I find it very rewarding. I don't find it very challenging. You work hard on it in that sense. But before I started, my biggest concern, I think, was that I would have lots of cases where you really couldn't help the people. Where you really they would just be in a pickle that you wouldn't be able to help. And I think that that has really not been the case. It's difficult when you get a situation where you can't give them as much help as you'd like to. But one thing I have found is that practically every consultation, you're able to help them in some way, make them more familiar with the situation. And what we're trying to do, I'm trying to steal your thunder here, but we're trying to empower the clients to help themselves. You familiarize them with the situation, with the applicable law. You lay out alternatives. Not all of it is strictly legal, right? A lot of it may be sort of referrals to somebody. 1 or 2 occasions I've told someone, you may want to talk to your alderman or your state rep, that sort of thing. So I have been very pleased that what I thought would be a big challenge really has not been one. There's really very, very few cases where I finished and I thought, geez, I was not able to provide any assistance to that person at all.
Well, it clearly sounds like you're also very skilled at helping clients figure out what to worry about and what not to worry about. It sounds like you're very skilled in that, and I can't imagine but how helpful that is to them to lower their stress, lower their anxiety about their legal concern, and just focus on the key issues. So it sounds like you're a tremendous blessing to the department, Ed.
Thank you.
Hilda, can you share a little bit more about that concept of educating clients on their legal rights and responsibilities? Isn't that a big part of what you do as well?
Absolutely. And just to follow up on your comment, Katie, Ed he has a natural ability to tune into the client and understand that it is about the human being, and that we share the steps in the process, and that they don't have the resources. So we are the resource. It's a big blessing to be able to share that with clients. And what we try to do is empower them and share with them the legal resources, because it's not that the individuals aren't capable, it's that they don't have resources to share with them. Once you share with them the resources, the steps, people are taking that in happily and are able to move forward. The best calls we get is when someone calls us at a different stage in their process, because the education and the information we were able to provide about the process allowed them to move forward and to complete their process in a successful manner. And that's what we do. That's how individuals are able to have access to court. It's through sharing our resources and skills that then becomes their skills and ability to move forward to resolve those legal issues that are seriously impacting their lives.
And obviously respecting client privacy, may I ask you each to share a couple stories about ways that CCLA has helped clients overcome legal concerns and move on with their goals of achieving greater self-sufficiency? Ed, may I start with you?
Sure. Just the other day, by the way, I find the mix of cases I get is very similar to what CCLA gets generally, which is Hilda just described. But sometimes, the other day, I had a case, very unusual, an expungement case. The client was seeking an expungement for a legal conviction a few years ago. And he was distraught. He had been shuttled around. His public defender really dropped the ball on this thing. He had another lawyer who dropped the ball. The judge said he'd do this and that. And he got on the phone just so frustrated and so angry. And it took a while just to get him calmed down. And I told him, I said, let's talk about this. And I think after this call, you'll be pretty much done with lawyers. You'll be able to do this yourself. And I pointed him towards some resources. He really was almost to the finish line. He just didn't have somebody to sort of like finalize the papers and submit them to the court. And he had no idea how to do that. And so I went over that with him, and I basically just, let him know that, you can do this yourself. You can do this yourself. I hear your frustration. And, by the end, I think he was well equipped to solve that problem in his life. He wasn't able to get a job for the last couple of years because of this, this problem that really somebody with more resources could have easily gotten done. I'm hopeful that he is.
It's just hearing you speak, Ed, it's such a reminder of how much more difficult life is when you don't have those resources to handle something in a simple way. This now clearly affected his life over several years. And so It's wonderful that you were there to assist him. Hilda, may I ask you to share a client story or two?
Yeah, so, two come to mind of the power of legal assistance, and they're really representation cases, because that's a lot of where I'm deeply involved, along with supporting on the brief services. One of them involved a domestic violence survivor, where part of the abuse was not only physical, but also the control of the marital assets. And during the proceedings, before we came in, there was a big struggle about, this is mine, this is my retirement account, this is my bank account, this is my check. And the client was struggling, receiving notices for inability to pay her rent, because he also had not previously allowed her to work. to control her. And so she had no work experience. She did not have her independent or individual bank account, because that's not how things worked in their family. He controlled everything. And during the whole time, and it lasted a few years, I have to say, this is mine. And then, of course, in Illinois law, everything belongs to the marriage. So she was able to get maintenance, child support, and half of the marital assets. So she's no longer getting eviction notices because she can now pay her rent, and her children now have a safe roof over their head. The second one that comes to mind is very different. It was someone who was in her last stages of cancer and needed assistance in making sure that her children were being taken care of by someone that loved them and was responsible. So that very day, we took it on as an emergency. We rushed to the hospital room where she was at, and were able to provide the legal documents that provided for her children once she passed, and she passed the next day. So her children, we didn't skip a beat. The children were able to be cared for legally by their family member who loved them and was assisting them during this very, very challenging time. And it was just a great place to be and know that you could be of that type of help to families.
Well, those are very powerful examples of the importance of CCLA, but also both of your skill at helping people, as I said before, determine what to worry about, what not to worry about, and then expedite that paperwork. My goodness, for you to know that what a crucial thing was to actually go to the hospital room, Ilda, and take care of that. What a blessing that was for that family that you stepped up and did that. It's really a great story. May I ask you both to just share, are there basic tips that you give to clients, or anyone listening or watching today's show, just about basic good practices, best practices about handling their legal affairs? Ed, may I start with you?
Sure. A lot of what we do is provide people, again, we empower them to solve their legal problems, and one of the things we do is to direct them to resources that may be available to them, whether they are online resources or in-person resources. There may be some agencies where they can provide some help that we can't provide. And one of the things I would say, often I will refer people to Illinois Legal Aid Online. It's a fantastic website that is really designed to help non-lawyers work through their legal problems. And it will give a lot of basic information. And that's something I would think that if I didn't know anything about the legal problem and wouldn't have a chance for a consultation, I would just say, take a look at Illinois Legal Aid Online.
That's a wonderful resource, and like you said, if people don't know to go there, they don't know all the wonderful things that online service can provide. How about you, Ilda?
By the way, one thing, Katie,
sure.
I should also mention, practically everything on Illinois Legal Aid Online is available both in English and in Spanish.
Oh, that's wonderful
that's
to
fantastic.
add.
Of course, not the court forms of things, but the information, the text articles, it's all available in Spanish.
Wonderful to add. Thank you so much. And Ilda, anything to add about best practices?
In addition to what Ed has shared, I will also say, make sure you read before you sign. Don't sign things you don't understand. It's okay to ask questions, and it's okay to ask for a copy of the document before you sign something, to talk to an attorney and make sure you understand what the responsibilities and obligations are for all parties. So that's a big thing. Read before you sign, and don't just agree to things out of nervousness. It's okay to take your time. We're here to support you.
Those are great tips as well. Thank you so much, Ilda. I really would like to thank you both for being on the show today and providing this update on all the ways that CCLA has continued to do great things throughout the pandemic. Catholic Charities is so fortunate to have you both assisting clients with their legal needs. Again, thank you so much, Ed and Ilda, for being on the show today.
Thanks, Katie.
Thank you so much, Katie.
And we invite everyone back again next week for another edition of The Voice of Charity. For now, this is Katie Bredemann, and we thank you for tuning in and believing in the mission of Catholic Charities.
Join us every Monday through Friday at this time for Catholic Chicago. You can stream our programs live or listen to past programs by visiting our website, archchicago.org, and clicking on Radio TV. And please connect with Catholic Chicago on social media.